Got some new fish in the back. About to introduce them to the Aquaponics tank. Got that all set up yesterday. Finally got the setup that I like for the most part. We're gonna have to pretty it up. The pots, the little 2-inch planters or whatever, are coming. Aquaponics, hydroponic planters. Hopefully by the end of the day, hopefully by the time I get home, they'll be there. So I can start drilling holes in the PVC, and we'll start seeing how everything goes. It's going to be very interesting, and I'm going to have to go very slow and test it out as things go along. I can't just arbitrarily drill holes because of pressure buildup and how I've got some backflow set up. But yeah, I took a bunch of pictures and a little video. Maybe I can cobble together something to show y'all one of these days. But I just watched listened to, I guess, one of the many people that I listen to here on YouTube, who's also elsewhere, about kind of what he thinks is 22 is going to be about. And like, he kind of hit on something that I have said in my videos previously, and I've tried to iterate, and I don't know how clear I've been about it, but about how like they're going to slowly like build and pull back and build and pull back. It's going to be like 2 steps forward and 1 step back, 2 steps forward and 1 step back, 2 steps forward and 1 step back. He's right in the sense of there is a longer time horizon for these folks who are controlling the global outcome. I mean, they are slowly herding us to where they want us to be herded, and taking us down a path that, frankly, is worth dying to protect from going down. I have a son now, and I'd like to see my grandkids one day. I'd like to have more kids than just my son. And if anybody else, and I imagine you would have, saw the interview on the JRE with Dr. Malone. Not really going to say any more than that, so that the algorithm the AI algorithm that sweeps over these videos and listens for certain things doesn't catch up on anything. But basically, Dr. M was saying, after everything else, this podcast that got 40 million something downloads within like the first 24 hours of it releasing, which is phenomenal. I'm gonna have to fix my beard, not looking so good. But he was basically saying that the inoculation going on right now is not safe for the kiddos. And not only that, but like, he said that he was willing to die on this hill because he's got nothing to lose. He's got everything he wants. He's made his career. He's done his thing. He's basically retired, and he's only speaking out for his kids and grandkids. And a lot of us are trying to, but being quashed and being silencio, por favor. And all I've seen over the last 2 years is 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Wear the mask, get the jab, then you don't have to wear the mask. Well, keep wearing the mask and get the jab, but now, like, we're easing off again because of the economy. Got to protect the precious economy. Hopefully more people get the inoculation, and then that'll save the economy. And again, it's just all this illusion of compliance. It's really the numbers of people that have gotten it is not true numbers. Just look up any way on how to how to conduct polls and how all of that is skewed. I mean, these are mostly self-reported numbers anyway. And I definitely, agree that that is a hill to die on for kids, for our future. You got to stand up for it. I can't imagine what kind of world they would have to grow up in. It's not okay. They're gonna just be like, oh, they're not gonna know what freedom is. It's because it's gonna be taken away by pussies like my fellow millennials who can't stand up for themselves and don't know how to turn a wrench, because they're just gonna back down because they don't know how to plant a freaking seed and water it and garden. And I mean, I'm not saying I'm great at that, because I tried to start gardening and I can take care of succulents and things like that, but I'm doing more than a lot of them who just sit on their computers brushing Cheeto dust off their space bars while they play more World of Warcraft, and perpetually reliving the memories of their childhood, because they're too scared to go out and be adults. They are setting up the future generations for a life of servitude and wage slavery, and they dare call themselves climate fighters, freedom fighters, or Antifa, or whatever the buzzword is that they're calling themselves right now. They are not. They are desk jockeys. They hide behind a screen and pretend that they are fighting for some cause, but they can't go 3 hours without having some snack or whatever. They've, an intermittent fast, whatever. I'm probably being too harsh. There's plenty of us out there who are tough and have cut weight before, know what it's like to miss meals or have a goal and achieve it. But there's a huge pussification of the world going on right now, and it started in Europe, and it's hit America over the last couple of decades, and it's only going to get worse by design. And so they have this long-term goal. You just got to follow the money with it. I mean, that's what Dr. M was saying. Dr. Rob on the JRE show on this podcast is basically, and this goes for anything in life. Who has the most to gain? What are their motives? And a lot of time, money is the motive. Money is the motivator. Money is the motive. Cash money. And who has the most to gain or lose in, what's being pushed and what's being so-called mandated or forced or whatever. And for someone like Dr. RM, he doesn't really have a huge motivator other than doing right and speaking out. He's not getting paid a bunch of money to speak up for alternative option to the inoculation that cost pennies for even a third world country's clinic to manufacture. There's no profit there, so why is he recommending it? Whereas if you look at the profit to be gained by a big pharmaceutical company like P or J&J, and the lobbyists behind Dr. F, Dr. Faust, and his wife, anyone know who that is? Yeah. Look at where the money is. Look at who is gonna benefit the most from the money. And if you deny that correlation, then then you're just one of the same people who we've been we've been ignoring. I mean, we have been shouting it from the mountaintops for decades now. It will be, for me, I will have been a conspiracy theorist for 10 years in 2023, essentially. Basically this year, though. I mean, the Mayan end of the world, but like, I wasn't really, I'd say I was getting a little conspiracy minded when it came to diet, and what opened my eyes to it was marketing and studying marketing. And basically, when you start learning how marketing works, and then you start learning how corporations work, and you start seeing how the correlation between like the cigarette lobby to big tobacco and what they did with advertising, and how they basically got a lot, they've done a lot of things lobbying wise, right? Same thing with sugar, and big soda corporations, we'll just keep it at that, do the same thing. And now fast food kind of has the same thing going on. I mean, these are big money-making corporations that are wasteful. They pollute the environment. They fatten everyone up. They make them unhealthy because they're shoving artificially flavored and additive added, it's conundrum, whatever, you know, with part like sawdust to like beef. I mean, it is disgusting what people shovel into their gullet and wash it down with carbonated sugar syrup water. And then that big soda company has the gall to come out and say, no, it does hydrate you, here's the studies. Well, it turns out those studies were done with ice in the soda. But that's neither here nor there. It hydrates you, and it's idiocracy is fast approaching. To call that movie anything but a documentary is sad. I mean, it's more of a reason that you have got to become self-sufficient, because the longer you rely on the system, the sooner you're going to be living in that kind of world where you're relying on a government water supply that has Gatorade, Flavor-Aid, sugar water. Sorry, I can't use any name brand terms here. Gatorade is delicious. But I mean, we were even watching Parks and Recreation, and whether they recycled the idea or not, I mean, it was the same thing where they were lobbying to try to get fluoride added to the water because it was healthy for the citizens, whereas a evil small town dentist was actively fighting against it because he wanted more clients, because he knew how well fluoride helped. And so then he's getting trumped by the other person for marketing reasons. You know, they ended up coming up with a better marketing scheme. Then they went to the big sugar company in town, and basically now they're going to be pumping soda water out through the city water supply instead of water. So it's not, and like all of that was like for money, for greed and money. And so no, like I really don't believe that there are people who get paid. People will murder and kill other human beings for less than $1,000 in a lot of situations. So you're telling me a smart, intelligent, educated person with degrees from universities with student debt wouldn't be willing to lie and manipulate for a salary of $250,000, $300,000, $400,000, $450,000 plus big benefit packages? how much is your soul worth? I'd be willing to bet a lot. I'd be willing to bet that I would almost not be able to stand up in a situation like that. So, I mean, you give me enough money, people are inherently, I don't think people are inherently as good as we'd like to believe, or benevolent. It's a nice sentiment, but I don't think it's, no, I don't think so. I wish things weren't so, but here we are. To kind of combat that, though, you know, other than trying to become as self-sufficient as possible, if you are going to stick with the system, and, you know, if you're just starting out prepping like I am, then one thing that you can do is, you know, at least right now, start taking your vitamins and trying to live a healthier, more active lifestyle. You know, I mean, I take a good amount of vitamins a day, but I get most of my vitamins through my natural diet. You know, you don't have to take a multivitamin if you have a naturally rich diet in vitamins and minerals. And like seriously, like, if you know what the inside of a gym looks like, and you have kale on a you know, at least a weekly basis, and you're not afraid of spinach, then you're okay. You know, if you at least eat an apple or a banana a day, you're gonna be okay. You know, it doesn't really take much to fuel the body for vitamins and minerals. And this is all scientifically proven. You can look this up. I mean, anything over what your body needs and that it doesn't need, it just shits out. Like, it's gonna shit it out, it's gonna poo it out, and doesn't need it. Like, you can't get too much of a good thing in a lot of situations, but more often than not, your body is just gonna self-eliminate what it doesn't use. So just get everything that you need from your diet, and that just consists of eating and having a lifestyle full of fresh fruits and vegetables, lean meat, and trying to stay away from the fish right now, unless it's like something you've grown in an aquaponics system and farmed yourself and is sustainable. Do not support the big, you know, the global fishing industry that's destroying the earth right now. The other thing is like, there are a couple, the other thing is like, don't go by the RDAs, the recommended daily allowances. Everyone's different. You may have a more responsive metabolism to a high-fat, low-carb diet, or you might have a better metabolic response to a higher carb, lower fat diet. Studies have shown that this has, you know, a lot to do with the amount of melanin you have. So depending on you know, what your race is, what kind of it would determine that. So look into it and find out kind of a good starting point, and then you're going to have to experiment. I mean, I went low carb for the longest time, and it didn't really I mean, it helped. I lost a lot of weight, I leaned out really quick, and I was eating high protein, low carb, medium fat. It was about like 15 to 20% carbohydrate, and then, you know, 30 to 40% protein, and then 30 to 40% fat. I don't remember the exact ratios, but it was healthy, whole foods, diet, vitamin heavy, but I was kind of miserable, and then I transitioned to a more higher carbohydrate diet, and then I lowered my protein intake. Kind of also lowered my fat intake to about 30%, 20 to 30% of like good fat, poly and PUFAs and MUFAs, mono unsaturated and poly unsaturated. I think, basically olive oil and butter, nothing hydrogenated, none of the cooking oils. I don't care what people say about cooking with olive oil, just warm it up slowly. You don't have to flash fry everything. Seriously, you don't. Really, one of the things, and I had this big bug, the C virus that's going on right now. I was asymptomatic. I didn't know I had it. I didn't even have symptoms of it. The period that I had it was in the winter months, like this, when this video is coming out anyway, between November and I guess January, must have been 2020. I mean, it was year zero of it, because I remember I got tested for the antibodies and I didn't have them. And then I had a checkup with my doctor. Like, I got tested for the antibodies because I had been exposed to somebody who had tested positive for it, and I didn't have them at that time. And then, like a month and a half to 2 months later, I saw my GP, my general practitioner, and I was like, heck, let's do the antibody test again, because they didn't have the actual COVID test at the time. And I did it, and then I came back and I had the antibodies. But like between both tests, I never got sick. I never had anything other than the sniffles, maybe. Nothing that I wouldn't attribute to cold weather. Anyway, so didn't feel bad. I mean, say what you will, I went about my daily life. How can you isolate when you don't even know you have it? If I had known I had it, I probably would have acted differently, but I had no reason to believe I had it, because I didn't get sick. And I think part of that was the fact that I live an active lifestyle. I eat a healthy diet. I take a vitamin D supplement. I think that's one of the biggest things that you can do for yourself is take a vitamin D supplement, especially on a day like today. I mean, it's raining. Another topic for another day would be the SAD diet, the standard American diet, also SAD, seasonal affective disorder, and kind of ways that I cope with that, because that's been a big issue for me. That's been one of the things that has greatly affected my life, especially once you kind of go through this awakening, because when you do start seeing the tricks of the fast food industry and the big corporations, you can trace back everything to money from back in the 40s and 50s when, and even earlier, when doctors were like, smoking cigarettes is good for you coal miners because, it helps filter the coal air when you're down in the mines, and, all the way up to eat 6 to 8 small meals a day, because you got to keep that metabolic fire burning. Well, our ancestors sure did not eat 6 to 8 meals a day. In fact, they fasted for multiple days at a time, and it's just the human tendency is such that you're going to overeat when you do eat, and so it's really, really not surprising to me at all that it turns out that study was funded by big corporations that are the parent company of certain fast food corporations and snack food corporations, Lay's, some potato chips and things like that. So, if you have 6 to 8 small meals a day, and then you base that off of your RDA of 2,000 calories, like a 250 calorie bag of these potato chips or cheesy flavored squares is going to be okay, but you're not going to stay sated or feel satisfied. I'd rather have a breakfast of 300 calories or 350 calories of like an oatmeal muffin that's been made with a banana in the batter and some almonds, walnuts if I'm lucky, and have two of those little muffins. And I'm not talking big muffins, like not Otis Spunkmeyer muffins that you get from the gas station. I'm talking, well, homemade. So that's about the only way, let's be honest, that's about the only way you're going to get these kind of muffins anyways. Make them at home in your little muffin tray, so your tiny little muffins. And I'd rather have that, and I'd rather feel full, until it's like time for lunch or dinner. Heck, if I'm having a busy day and I'm working so hard and having such physical activity that I'm blunting my hunger. That's another reason you guys need to work out and live actively, is because your body doesn't crave as much when you're active. It releases, I think it's ghrelin is the hormone, and so that is something that suppresses your hunger, which is pretty cool if you trace it back to the evolutionary reason behind it. Because on the flip side, like if you're more sedentary and you're eating the standard American diet, chances are with the standard American diet, you're going to be drinking diet cola drinks, diet soda drinks, which have an additive that blocks the receptors for that ghrelin. And I might be not say it might not be ghrelin, but basically what I'm saying is this additive blocks the receptors of your stomach telling your brain, hey, I'm full, stop eating. And that's like what causes you to overeat. And you can't tell me that a company that owns a bunch of sodas and also sells a bunch of snack foods, isn't actively adding things to their foods to make them taste better and make you hungrier so that you consume more and buy more in the end. It's consumerism and business 101, supply and demand. It's just like when you tie it all together, that's what got me going down and turned me into the original, and that's what turned me into a conspiracy theorist, because I was like seeing what was being done and had seen what had been done with big tobacco and had been done to me with fast food and sodas and snack foods, and how I grew up to be 290 pounds in high school and being made fun of and being fat and not getting the attention of girls, and basically going through enough pain to finally do something about it. And here's the thing, y'all, about like that diet drink thing. You can test that out. If you do well on a new lifestyle change and a lifestyle diet, whatever, and you've been healthy for like 2 months, 3 months, and you start to crave kale or Greek yogurt or a nice like chicken breast roasted over over some potatoes and carrots, or something actually healthy as opposed to like a pizza or a fast food burger, then like you're doing well. You've really crested the hump, because like there's stuff that goes on that makes you crave that fast food. It's because they do have additives in it, and I mean, as much as they can say they don't, they do. They have. I mean, the amount of salt and sugar alone that's added to fast food beef and chicken is enough to make your body crave it. And so when you crest that hump though, and you don't crave that stuff anymore, and it actually turns your stomach, or you look at a vending machine and you say that's not food in there, that's like what is that? Like, I would only rely on food from a vending machine if, like, two situations. It's the end of the world, and it's all I've got, and I gotta break into it, you know, because the power's out, and I gotta break the front cage of it to get to that food. Or I'm in a social setting, and it's got like one of my favorite cheat day candies, like peanut M&Ms or something like that, or whatever. Like, and that's rare, and that would be rare, and that would just be for social, like drinking an alcoholic beverage socially. Or, you know, like, yeah, it's like get it and share it. How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie. Give them something. Sorry, a little bit of acid indigestion there. But yeah, once you start craving real whole food, test it out. Get you a diet soda, diet cola. And I would suggest the big name brand one that everyone knows, the Polar Bears. Get their version of diet and try it out. Eat a good meal, and then kind of towards the end, when you know, like, you're starting to get full, start drinking that diet cola and see how hungry you get, or at least see how hungry you don't get. Like, see how your body doesn't get sated, because you will be amazed if you make the appropriate lifestyle changes about how much you were eating and how much you actually need to eat. If you just, like, cut out soft drinks, cut out fast food, lower your sugar intake, reallocate your fat intake to only healthy fats, eat red meat 1 to 2 times a week, if not less. And, like, when you're really ready to start pushing it, do a day where all you eat is lean, like, all you eat is vegetables. Have an all vegetarian day. You know, fucking cook it up in butter, I don't care. You know, douse that shit in olive oil. That's the best way to go. Saute them veggies in olive oil, cover it in salt. You know, but start out with like some chicken on a salad, and like not breaded chicken. Breaded chicken's delicious. I won't fault you if you need to start out that way. But your dressing needs to be olive oil or a vinaigrette. Does not, I'm telling you, once you start craving olive oil and like good whole food, you're never gonna want to change. Olive oil as a dressing is just, oh, it's so delicious. It's so good, and it's so good for you. And I promise you, like, you cannot, if you're first transitioning, you cannot eat too much olive oil. Drench it. Your body needs it. You will melt off pounds of fat, like, just by letting your body replace the bad fat with the good fat. So just, that would be my starting tips for living a healthier lifestyle, all in order to combat what's happening. Because if it's a money grab, Big Pharma doesn't want you to be healthy. And I'm not saying all the doctors want you to be sick, and they don't want a revolving door at the hospital, I don't think. The business part of it does, but doctors don't. But you got to think about it from a business perspective. If I was a fast food company, or I was selling vending machine snacks and I wanted people to buy more, I'd want them to be hungry all the time, thirsty all the time. So if I wanted more people to be scared of getting sick and getting the vaccine, I'd want them to be sick. I'd want a lot of people to get sick in order to help perpetuate that. So think about it. It's worth fighting for right now.
And I don't want my kids or your kids or my grandkids or your grandkids to live in a future where they don't know true health and prosperity and freedom, because it's coming sadly to something that looks like that, to where they will be perpetual techno slaves, wage slaves, and that's just unacceptable. So join me on the hill, and we'll see you on the other side.